Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most pivotal moments in Roman history, the dramatic overthrow of a kingdom and the birth of a republic that would change the world forever. This isn't just a story of politics, it's a gripping tale of tyranny, tragedy, and a people's unbreakable will to be free. Our story begins in the 6th century BC. Rome wasn't the sprawling empire we often imagine, but a modest city-state ruled by a series of kings. The final king, the 7th, was a man named Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, or Tarquin the Proud. As his nickname suggests, he wasn't exactly a man of the people. He seized the throne through a violent coup, assassinating his predecessor and father-in-law, Servius Tullius. His reign was marked by ambition and ruthlessness. He waged successful wars, expanded Rome's influence, and undertook massive construction projects, like the great Temple of Jupiter on the Capitoline Hill. But his methods were brutal. He ruled with an iron fist, ignoring the Senate and trampling on Roman customs and laws. The people of Rome were growing tired of his tyranny, and the air was thick with resentment. All it needed was a spark to ignite the flames of rebellion. That spark came not from a battlefield or a Senate debate, but from a horrific personal tragedy. The king's son, Sextus Tarquinius, embodied the arrogance of the ruling family. While the Roman army was away besieging the city of Ardea, the young nobles, including Sextus and a virtuous man named Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus, were boasting about the virtue of their wives. To settle the debate, they rode back to Rome unannounced. They found the royal princesses feasting and making merry, but Collatinus's wife, Lucretia, was found at home, dutifully spinning wool with her maids. Her virtue was undeniable, but this very quality ignited a dark obsession in Sextus. A few days later, Sextus returned to Collatinus's home alone. Lucretia, unsuspecting, welcomed him as a guest and a relative. That night, he crept into her chamber and, with a dagger to her throat, committed an unspeakable crime. He threatened that if she resisted, he would not only end her life but also place the body of a servant next to hers, forever staining her name with a fabricated scandal. Robbed of her honor and left with an impossible choice, Lucretia was devastated. But Lucretia was not a passive victim. Her next actions would change the course of history. The following day, she summoned her father Spurius Lucretius, her husband Collatinus, and their two most trusted friends, Publius Valerius and a man who had long been underestimated, Lucius Junius Brutus. Brutus was a nephew of the king, but to survive Tarquin's purges, he had feigned stupidity for years, earning the nickname Brutus, which means the dullard. He was anything but. When the men arrived, they found Lucretia overcome with grief. She recounted the horrific ordeal and, before they could console her, she made them swear an oath to avenge her, to punish the perpetrator, and to ensure that no man like Tarquin or his sons would ever rule Rome again. With those final, powerful words, she took her own life, choosing death over a life lived in shame. Her sacrifice was the ultimate act of protest, a final, heart-wrenching plea for justice. The sight of the noble Lucretia, lifeless and betrayed, shattered the men. But in that moment of profound grief, Brutus, the supposed fool, stepped forward and revealed his true self. He pulled the dagger from Lucretia's body and, holding it aloft, repeated the oath. He swore by Mars and all the gods that he would pursue Tarquin the Proud and his wicked family with fire and sword, and that he would never again suffer a king to reign in Rome. One by one, the other men, stunned by his transformation but galvanized by his resolve, swore the same oath. The private tragedy of one woman had become a public call to revolution. They carried Lucretia's body to the Roman Forum, the heart of the city. The sight of the virtuous noblewoman, victim of the royal family's depravity, sent a shockwave through the populace. Brutus, no longer playing the fool, delivered a fiery, passionate speech. He reminded the people of the tyranny of Tarquin the Proud, the assassination of their beloved former king, and now, this final, unforgivable outrage committed by his son. His words resonated with the crowd's long-suppressed anger and grief. The people of Rome had reached their breaking point. In a spontaneous and unified act, they voted to depose King Tarquin and banish him and his entire family from the city forever. The monarchy was finished. When news of the revolt reached King Tarquin at the army camp in Ardea, he rushed back to Rome, hoping to quell the uprising. But it was too late. The city gates were barred against him. The army, hearing the news and stirred by Brutus's allies, had also abandoned the king. Trapped and powerless, Tarquin the Proud, the 7th and final king of Rome, fled into exile with his sons. After 244 years, the era of kings was over. But what would replace it? The leaders of the revolution, especially Brutus, knew that simply replacing one man with another was not enough. To prevent the return of tyranny, power had to be divided. And so, in 509 BC, they established a new form of government, the res publica, the public thing, or the republic. Instead of a lifelong king, Rome would be led by two men, called consuls, elected annually. This ensured no single individual could accumulate too much power. The first two consuls were none other than the architects of the revolution, Lucius Junius Brutus and Lucretia's widower, Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus. The Senate's authority was restored, and the foundations of a government based on law and shared power were laid. The birth of the Republic was a radical idea. It was a declaration that sovereignty belonged not to a single ruler, but to the citizens of Rome themselves. This single event, born from a personal tragedy and fueled by a collective desire for freedom, set Rome on a path that would lead it to conquer the Mediterranean and build an empire that shaped Western civilization. The story of Lucretia and Brutus became a foundational myth for the Romans, a constant reminder of the price of liberty and the dangers of unchecked power. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. The story of Rome's birth is a powerful testament to how the courage of a few can inspire the many to demand justice and reshape their destiny. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't want to miss our next exploration into history. Let me know in the comments what you think about this pivotal moment. Until next time, stay curious.